All right, everybody. My name is Bilal Brohi. I have Dr. Mehrub Awan with me, and she's taken time out from her busy schedule to just talk to me about everything that's been going on. I've seen her; she's been very involved with the electronic music scene for a very long time, and obviously, she's also a very active voice of the LGBTQ community, and obviously a much more popular voice than me. So, thank you for taking this time out to talk to me about this because this is something that's very new to me. Normally, I don't take to public platforms to talk about things, but something came up. I don't know what triggered a reaction in my body, and I thought that we should talk about things. And some people got maybe offended by what I said. That was not my intent at all, but it was something that I thought needed to be addressed. अब हो सकता है कुछ चीजें मैंने अच्छी बोली हो, कुछ चीजें मैंने उनको पैकेज सही नहीं करा हो. I don't know. That's the reason I wanted to talk to you about it, ताकि आमने सामने एक चीज की बात हो सके, मैं आपका पॉइंट समझ सकूं, आप मेरे पॉइंट समझ सकें, और इस बात से हम आगे बढ़ सकें. Because listen, very honestly, we all are very involved with this music movement, and we all want to be together, and all want to hang out, and we don't want any animosity. At least I don't want any animosity with anyone. That's just not the person I am.
Yeah.
So thank you again for taking time out. And before I give you my 2 cents, because everyone's already heard what I've had to say. Some have agreed with it,
Yeah.
and some people it's rubbed the wrong way. So let me hear what you have to say about it, please.
So, I mean, I have a lot to say about it. I don't have
Ji,
a lot to say about what you said. I just have a lot to say
ji,
about how the entire thing unfolded. Ek to it has been acquired by KKR and Superstruct, and they have their
yeah,
ties with the Zionist machinery. In
absolutely.
fact, Laila Safi, who curated this particular Boiler Room Lahore experience,
Yeah.
did not want her name to be associated with it when it came out. Two of the DJs, I absolutely love them to bits. Very good DJs, Zara Dekho and Dynoman. They उन्होंने अपना सेट ही बाहर निकाल दिया. उन्होंने बोला कि हमारा सेट इसमें शामिल नहीं होना चाहिए. सुनने में आया कि
Mm,
Boiler Room is still trying to publish it, but so like
mm,
there are people who
mm,
actually pulled out from
mm,
when this was shot. उससे लेकर अब तक जब इन्होंने इसको
mm,
शोकेस करना था तो लाइक एक तो वो लेयर चल रही थी.
mm,
A lot of the DJ friends that I have who have been showcased on this particular Boiler Room Lahore, I know for a fact that they
mm,
were going through a lot. There was a lot of internal dialogue
mm,
and dialogue with their peers about के shall we go ahead? ये करवा दें
mm,
publish यानी अब क्या करें नाम तो
mm,
Boiler Room का ही लगेगा क्योंकि ऊपर.
mm,
And they made the very hard choice of doing so. अब
mm,
बॉयलर रूम ने जो एक पर्टिकुलर शोकेस की पहले उन्होंने पिक्चर्स की पोस्ट लगाई, उसके बाद उन्होंने
mm,
सिर्फ एक मेरे ख्याल से 60 सेकंड्स की क्लिप लगाई है जानी हसीना के सेट की. जानी
mm,
हसीना is a 22 23 year old transgender musician. She has 3 to 4 songs out. Some of them have been viral hits. They have been very good. And she's recently started DJing as well. मेरे ख्याल से इसको 1.5 साल 2 साल हुआ है. And her style is very eclectic. It's very crunchy. It's very choppy.
mm, mm,
She calls it psychosis. It's psychosis on the deck.
mm, mm,
It's not
mm,
groovy. It's not housey.
mm,
And I wouldn't
mm.
even call it कि जो आपके पास एक particular Berlin की और London की underground की sound. It's not that. It's a very
जी.
different style of hers. And I think she's on the pathway of developing her sonic identity.
Yeah.
At such a young age आपकी वो डेवलप नहीं होती, अभी उसकी वो सोनिक आइडेंटिटी डेवलप हो रही है. सो जब उसका
Mm,
वो 60 सेकंड्स का क्लिप निकल के सामने आया तो आई एज एन एल्डर who's been encouraging her and all of that, I was very happy about it. But immediately the comments that started pulling in were deranged, Bilal. People were
mm,
tagging narcotics, Punjab police,
mm,
Maria B for some odd reason.
mm,
And कि then this is not our culture, ये क्या हो
mm,
रहा है, ये तो कौमे लूट है. And we were like, bro, like chill. Like this is like electronic
mm,
music का showcase हो रहा है. The movement
mm,
was frankly originated in the black queer culture in Chicago and
mm,
Detroit, Michigan.
mm,
वहां से चीजें निकल के सामने आ रही हैं.
mm,
अभी
mm,
भी the most strongest taste makers and the most strongest curators, particularly in Berlin, Amsterdam, and in London, they come from the parts of the city जहाँ पे आपके पास underground culture होता है, जहाँ पे queer culture होता है. तो ये किस
mm,
किस्म की ट्रैशिंग की जा रही है? You don't like the sound,
mm,
talk about the
mm,
sound. You don't like the DJing, talk about the
mm,
DJing. You don't like the set design, or you don't like the fact this is boiler room,
mm,
talk about that. But like directly
mm,
attacking somebody simply for their identity, for how
mm.
they're presenting themselves, I think that was really distasteful. And then to be the first country जिसके ऊपर बॉयलर रूम को अपने कमेंट्स बंद करने पड़े, हाउ एम्बैरेसिंग इज दैट? यानी कि एक तरफ हम अभी बैठ के अपनी पाकिस्तान की कूलनेस और यूनिटी दिखा रहे थे आफ्टर विनिंग द वॉर अगेंस्ट इंडिया, And we were so happy that we are not the ones getting globally trashed, and suddenly this starts happening. So that's what disappointed me. And to close it all off, what like saddened me the most was that some of these comments came from DJs who follow me. I follow them. I like them. I always show up to their scenes whenever I can. I try to encourage them globally as much as I can to get my international friends to come and participate in these scenes who are ravers, to basically just come and check out Pakistan ka growing house music scene, if not the underground scene. But coming from Islamabad, that was really disappointing. That's what my take on this is.
Yeah, Ismail, I agree with you for the most part. There are a few things that I'd like to add and just give it a little bit of perspective. I'll start with something which is completely not part of the situation. For example, there was a event that I went to, and the only event that I've actually put the mixer off and walked off stage. And what happened was there was a bunch of men that came, and they were partying, they were chilling, but they had weapons, and their weapons were on the floor and displayed, and it made me very, very uncomfortable. Now, I'm not against weapons. I'm not against men carrying weapons, but I'm against men having weapons on the floor where it's just not supposed to be. And it made me very uncomfortable. I was like, Listen, it's 3:30 in the morning. I am done. This is it. I don't want to have any arguments. I'm out." So the reason I'm bringing that up over here is because identity and presentation can also be separated. ठीक है, in my opinion, the reason what triggered me a little bit was कि यार देखो एक चीज पहली बहुत fragile है. पाकिस्तान में the electronic scene is very very difficult to bring into the mainstream. It's very difficult to justify, to get NOCs, to do all of these things. When there's a lot of people on the stage, I am not comfortable with it. And majority of the sets that you'll see with me will be less people on the stage. The reason being because people make videos and they associate with things. Tomorrow, my kids are going to see it. Other people are going to see it. My mom sees it. Everyone in my family knows I own everything that I do. And I don't want anything untoward to come off it. So I want to be careful when I'm on stage. That being said, Boiler Room has always had a situation where the DJ is on set and the floor is not in front, but that's actually behind the scene. Now, when Boiler Room comes to Pakistan, I agree, and I've also made all of those things, all of those statements that you said about their association with KKR and all of these things, and how their quality has gone down. All of whatever. Let's move past that. They had their first event; it was perfectly fine. I didn't comment on the music because I think even musically, people have the right to play whatever they want. If they're being appreciated, that's fine. अगर उनकी एक डिमांड है, उनको वहाँ पे होना चाहिए. तो आई डोंट कमेंट कि यार लोगों का म्यूजिक अच्छा है या बुरा है बिकॉज लोगों को लगेगा कि यार आई एम कमेंटिंग फ्रॉम अ वेरी सब्जेक्टिव पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू वेयर एज नो माई टेक इज वेरी डिफरेंट आई वर्क वेरी हार्ड ऑन माई ears. I went to music school, did all of that, and now music that just doesn't resonate with me, I just don't like it. So I'd rather not comment on it and be someone that's pulling people back. So I did get some feedback where people thought I was gatekeeping the scene or whatever. मेरा ऐसा कोई intent नहीं है. I don't even want to comment on people's music because that's a very personal thing. I wanted to comment on जिस तरीके से ये पूरी scene package हुआ था. It could have been a lot better. अगर 5 लोग शलवार कमीज में एक इवेंट पे आते हैं रात के 3 बजे तो उससे भी मेरी हालत पैक हो जाती है. I'll be very honest with you. क्योंकि मुझे अब लगता है ओ नाउ समथिंग्स अबाउट टू गो डाउन. अच्छा अब ये फड्डा करने आए हैं. अब यहाँ पे कोई वेपन्स हो जाएंगे. अच्छा अब ये जो है किसी और सिचुएशन को ढूंढने में आए हैं. मे बी देव कम टू बी टू हरास पीपल. आई डोंट नो. इट मेक्स मी रियली अनकंफर्टेबल. आई
Because
एम
it
नॉट
does happen.
अनकंफर्टेबल. Yes, because but I'm not uncomfortable with shalwar kameez. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
uncomfortable with men. But shalwar kameez and men happening at 3:30 in the morning, halfway out of their brain, that's a combination which scares me. I'll be very honest with you. तो कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं उसमें जो हमें इस चीज का भी ख्याल करना है कि यार अच्छा ठीक है ये अलग अलग शायद लोगों को मसला नहीं हो. मैं अपनी जाती बात कर सकता हूँ. मैं हर किसी की बात नहीं कर सकता. आई कांट प्रिटेंड टू नो अबाउट एवरीवन बट देयर आर सम थिंग्स मैं भी ये देखता हूँ ना यार अच्छा ठीक है ये भी हो रहा है ये भी हो रहा है ये भी हो रहा है तो now if we club it together now it might be a bit of an issue. I didn't know that the Punjab police had been tagged. I didn't know the authorities had been tagged, narcotics had been tagged, but that's exactly what I was afraid of. Because देखो I'll be honest with you, लाहौर में पिछले 1 डेढ़ साल से commercial events बहुत कम हो रहे हैं. क्योंकि उधर रेट भी आसानी से पड़ जाती है। लोग पता नहीं क्या क्या उन पे पर्चे हो जाते हैं, वो 60-60 लोगों को उठा के ले जाते हैं, ये होता है वो होता है। और दे यूज द लाउड स्पीकर एक्ट विच वाज मेंट फॉर inciting hate speech and things like that during the MMA movement as grounds for punishing these people, which is completely out of context to begin with. तो मैं ये समझता हूँ कि यार हमें एक अंडरग्राउंड चीज को जब एक बड़े प्लेटफॉर्म पे ला रहे हैं, so we have to think about everything. We have to put our thought into places where it wouldn't go otherwise, not because of prejudice, but to be careful to to safeguard whatever little we have curated in the past 2 decades or so. You
Mhm.
understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I completely hear you. And I think we are coming from two very different perspectives. And but
जी
still, I think this is like oil and water can mix. ये वो वाले
जी
perspective.
जी
This
जी
is like this is between appreciation and practicality. So where I
हाँ
can appreciate something, do I think it is practical to showcase it to the broader public,
yes
right?
yes
For instance,
yes
and I'll give an example over here. I don't know if you've been to Burgain. Um,
no, I have not. I
uh,
have not, but I know of it. Yes.
I think you ought to. You should, because then you'll understand
Mhm.
where I'm coming from. But then you'll also that also simultaneously agrees with your point.
Yeah.
Burgain के अंदर video cameras are not allowed.
नहीं allowed. Yeah, they're not.
Nobody records anything.
Mm,
एक मार के कोई उनकी एक clip निकली है. I go to Fold. Fold is my favorite club
mm,
in the world. It's in
mm,
East London.
mm,
It's basically
mm,
London's answer to Burgain.
mm.
Cameras are not allowed and nobody takes them out. So what we do is,
Yeah.
um, because the DJs are super cool, आप डीजे के
Yeah.
पास खड़े होके अपने फ्रंट कैमरे पे उंगली रख के रिकॉर्ड का बटन ऑन करते हो,
Mm,
और वो एक ग्रेनी सा रेड कलर का उसके अंदर वो बस
mm,
म्यूजिक आ जाता है, एंड दैट्स
mm,
व्हाट Fold basically posts on their
mm,
Instagram and their socials,
mm,
and that maintains this
mm,
air of
mm,
exclusivity of, if
mm,
this is an experience, if you want
mm,
it, you have to be here, and you can't buy the tickets online. Another thing
mm,
about
mm,
Salt and Bagain, both of them, like you have to be
mm,
vibe checked at the door. They can turn you away. They've turned away
mm,
Elon Musk. They've turned away
mm,
Obama's daughter, for crying out loud. अगर आप
mm,
vibe check pass नहीं
mm,
कर आप अंदर नहीं आ सकते हो.
mm,
This to me is the authentic
mm.
underground.
Yes.
And I'm an
Yes.
underground baby. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have like developed my taste to appreciate house music and the commercial sort
Mm,
of events that my friends put
mm,
up, brilliant events.
mm,
Love them. I
mm,
appreciate all sorts of electronic music that is coming out, particularly because it's coming out from Pakistan. ना बहुत एक
mm,
nascent
mm,
हमारी movement है जो
mm,
भी सामने आई है.
mm,
But like my heart is in the underground, and that is
mm,
what the
mm.
underground. And the underground can never be mainstream. The
Yeah.
underground
Yeah.
cannot be the
Yeah.
overground. And I think
Yes.
I agree with you over here. Okay, whenever
Yes.
you try to mainstream the underground, whenever you try to overground the underground, it is bound to fail. And I
Yes.
say the same thing about queer cultures and queer expressions,
Mm,
because queerness
mm.
is fundamentally underground. It is
Yes.
supposed to be punk, camp,
Yeah.
fringe. The moment we try to make it mainstream, अच्छा खासा आपको एक किस्म का बैकलैश मिलता है. एंड
Mm,
टू स्पेसिफिकली टॉक अबाउट जाने हसीना सेट, और उस सेट पे जो आपको
mm,
बूथ के अंदर जितने भी अफराद नजर आ रहे थे, आई नो तकरीबन
mm,
मोस्ट ऑफ देम.
mm,
One of them is a Khaja Sara. And when I say Khaja
mm.
Sara, it means कि वो जो हमारी ट्रेडिशनल साउथ एशियन
जी.
ख्वाजा सरा कल्चर का वो हिस्सा है. वो एक बच्ची वहां पे थी, शी वाज
Mm,
डांसिंग, अडोरेबल लिटिल डॉल.
mm, mm,
मजे किया
mm,
वो. हसीना काफी अपनी
mm,
तरफ से अच्छी एफर्ट कर रही है टू ब्रिंग
mm,
मॉडर्न एंड
mm,
ट्रेडिशनल
mm,
टुगेदर.
mm,
बाकी जो उधर हैं,
mm,
लॉट ऑफ देम वर नॉन बाइनरी फोक्स, दे
mm,
गो बाय दे देम
mm,
प्रोनाउंस. ये
mm,
चीजें पाकिस्तान के लिए नई तो क्या है, पाकिस्तान के लिए बहुत एलियन है अभी. So it's very difficult for people to comprehend it, to like digest it. मैंने हसीना को एक फीडबैक दिया था, और बहुत हंसते हंसते दिया था. उसको मैंने कहा था कि तुम्हारे उस डीजे बूथ के अंदर ना 8-9 हसीनो जमील किस्म की पाकिस्तानी ट्रांस गर्ल्स खड़ी हुई होती ना, तो मुझे पूरा
mm,
यकीन है कि द 90% ऑफ द रेजिस्टेंस एंड द बैकलैश दैट यू फेस्ड वुड हैव जस्ट डिसअपीयर्ड. बिकॉज एक तो ये कि वो डाइजेस्टेबल है, नंबर टू एक हमारा एक हुसन परस्त मुल्क है, एंड लाइक नो बॉडी वुड हैव बॉदर्ड अबाउट इट. बट द फैक्ट दैट योर प्रेजेंटेशन वॉज वेरी क्वियर, it was very camp, that is what jilted people the wrong way. So to answer your point on that, I agree with it, like on issues of practicality. Okay,
mm,
but even if this is what the scene is, if this is what we are
mm,
showcasing it as,
mm,
there is bound to be backlash. You can't
mm,
have this sort of visibility and
mm,
not expect there to be any form of violence. Bilal, there is this
mm,
phrase that I use in activism
mm,
quite a lot and in
mm,
grassroots mobilization:
mm,
visibility is equal to violence. V is equal to V. The more you're going to become visible for a society that is untrained, for a society that is not used to this sort of visual, it is going to respond with violence. So I
mm,
absolutely completely agree with you. But to add to it, Map, I think you hopped on the scene once the comments were already blocked. मैंने तो वो कमेंट्स
हम्म,
सारे के सारे देखे हैं एंड आई कैन
नहीं
नेम द
मैंने नहीं
डीजे।
देखा।
मैं आपको सारे कमेंट्स बताती हूँ। आई कैन नेम द डीजेस जिनसे वो कमेंट्स आए थे एंड आई लाइक फॉलो ऑल ऑफ देम एंड आई थिंक एटलीस्ट थ्री
हम्म,
ऑफ देम फॉलो मी बैक। Three of them
हम्म,
I've met in person. Two of them went ahead later to make stories about it. And I know
हम्म,
for a fact that one of them is not even transphobic, not even
हम्म,
close to being transphobic. But
हम्म,
I have performed with him 2 times
हम्म,
already. So
हम्म,
he's not a transphobe, he's not a queerphobe, he's not a homophobe, he's a
हम्म,
super cool,
हम्म,
chill guy.
हम्म,
So I get where people are coming from because yeah, visually this is jarring, sonically can't relate. Should this be the representation of Pakistani music scene, electronic music scene that is going forward? What ये जो कॉम जिन्होंने पंजाब पुलिस को टैग किया हुआ था, these were not regular people. These were initial DJs, and I won't name them right now, मेरे ख्याल से, because then we'll get into
हम्म,
naming वाला हो जाएगा. I'll
हम्म,
send these to you
हम्म,
privately, but these are people that you've
yes,
performed with. These are
हम्म,
people जिनके scenes के मैंने tickets लिए हुए हैं. And I was like, यार तुम लोग
हम्म,
वही कर रहे हो जो
हम्म,
पिछले 15 साल से होता आ रहा है.
हम्म,
एक दूसरे के सीन्स पे पुलिसों को फोन करके बुलाओ कि जी यहाँ पे. और
हम्म,
आजकल तो एक नया सीन आया ना कि लड़की का रेप हो गया यहाँ पे. वो फोन करके
तो
वन
पाया।
कॉल करते हैं. पहले
Yeah,
क्या
this is something
था?
that destroyed Karachi's culture, and Karachi was void for a while. Then Lahore picked up. Then Lahore became void for a while. Now Islamabad's picked up, and it's a vicious cycle which
Yeah,
just keeps going on. But before any of this happened, before Facebook and Instagram and Google, I was still doing these parties. So I mean, people's clap back to me was that, hey, I'm too old and outdated and all of that. Sure, I messaged you and I told you, I gave you background. We were on Ali Salim's roof 15, 20 years ago doing exactly this without any cameras, and nobody cared. Every event, I mean, I've seen you coming for years. There's never really been any conflict of sorts, and no one
yeah,
really, I don't think, quite frankly, gives a shit. And that's the whole point.
yeah,
Pardon my language, but I mean, that's the whole point of being non-judgmental and exclusive. मगर आप एक चीज को जरा पैकेज करके जब आगे पुश कर रहे हैं ना, तो there will be a backlash and be of both kinds, for it, against it. मगर हमें ये कोशिश करनी चाहिए, मेरा इस पूरी चीज का जो वो है कि यार, अगर कोई चीज से आपको इख्तिलाफ हो या कोई चीज आपको अच्छी लगे, जैसे भी लगे, आप पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे किसी को पर्सनली अटैक ना करें. एंगेज इन अ कॉन्वर्सेशन, एंगेज इन सम काइंड ऑफ डायलॉग, कम टू द some kind of mutual ground where you can agree or just agree to disagree and move on. There
yeah,
doesn't need to be any animosity, there doesn't need to be any hate, there doesn't need to be अच्छा मगर तुम ऐसे हो, मगर तुम ऐसे हो, finger pointing and blame and all of this, because quite frankly that doesn't help anyone. और जिस तरह आपने वो बात करी कि हम एक दूसरे की पार्टीज पे फोन करके पुलिस को बुलाएंगे, ये बंद कर दो, ये बंद कर दो, हम ठीक हैं, ये गलत है, ऐसा नहीं है. Quite frankly, none of this is our culture, and this is just a underground movement which is supposed to be कि यार अच्छा ठीक है, we all have insane weeks, we get together once in a month or once in 2 weeks, and we vibe and we move on, and chapter close, we release some energy and we go back to whatever the hell else we were doing. And that's what it's supposed to be, and that's why it's so dear to me, क्योंकि यार मकसद ही ये था.
yeah,
जो शुरुआत में भी शिकागो में भी आप बात करें, आप ब्रुकलिन की बात करें, आप जो भी बात करें, the whole point was people who are excluded from other parts of society come together and listen to music which is rebellious because it didn't have many words,
yeah,
right? And it was just a vibe, and that's part of the rebellion and part of the underground, that it's unconventional, it's not lyric driven, there's no pop stars over there, nobody cares if you're dressed to the T's or if you're wearing jeans and t-shirts and a pair of sneakers. Because quite honestly, the vibe check that happens in most of the clubs, people that are very dressed up, they get told to go home, and you disassociate from everything that's happening outside, inside, and you connect with one energy, one sound, and all of that. Ab some people can resonate with the X kind of sound or energy or whatever, and that's okay. इस चीज की मुझ में कोई वो नहीं है कि यार ये अच्छा म्यूजिक नहीं था, ये अच्छा म्यूजिक था. भाई मैं अपने म्यूजिक पे फोकस करता हूँ, और मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि मैं जो करूँ अपने लोगों के लिए, मुझे उसमें एक तो मजा भी आए, आई गेट टू एंटरटेन माई सेल्फ, एंड ए बी आई गेट टू एंटरटेन द ऑडियंस, एंड सी आई गेट टू ऑल्सो एडुकेट पीपल about what's happening now and the new kind of stuff that you should follow. And I'm not all about playing hits. And so even commercial DJs like David Guetta would say, okay, there's certain DJs who will come and perform, they're performers, and there's certain people who will be like DJs who will play stuff which you didn't even know you wanted to listen to. So again, coming back to the underground culture conversation, underground culture is supposed to be inclusive. It's
yeah,
not supposed to be fueled by hate. It's not supposed to be fueled by any kind of resentment. It's supposed to be live and let live. तो ये जो पूरी कॉन्वर्सेशन इस तरफ थोड़ा जा रही थी, मुझे उससे मसला था कि यार बैठो, बात करो, जो भी चीज़ है उसका हल निकालो, और हाँ, एक चीज़ को की प्रेज़ेंटेशन होनी चाहिए अगर आप पब्लिक प्लेटफ़ॉर्म पे जा रहे हैं। अगर आप मेन स्ट्रीम में ला रहे हैं, जिस तरह से बहुत सारे promoters, they're trying to bring events into the commercial realm. They're selling tickets, for example, there's certain DJs, including myself, which are not cheap. They want it to be viable. They need to
Yeah.
अपनी जेब से तो इंसान नहीं कर सकता ना बार बार. अगर आप 40-45 लाख रुपए एक इवेंट पे लगा रहे हैं, तो you need to make something back also. So they need to make it viable. It can't just be for 20 people like it was 15 years ago. कि
Mhm.
भाई 50 लोग इकट्ठे हुए हैं, you have a good time and you go home. But that can't happen week in and week out, and it can't grow like that.
Yeah.
तो जब हम एक डायरेक्शन लिया हुआ है उस चीज ने, आई थिंक इट्स अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, इट्स अ कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ अस ऑल टू बी ए ट्रू टू ईच अदर एंड बी टू बी ओपन विद ईच अदर इन द गुड टाइम्स एंड द बैड. क्योंकि आई कंप्लीटली अग्री विद यू कि यार ये वाली चीजें गलत हैं कि आप किसी अथॉरिटीज को टैग कर रहे हैं, या ये यू प्लेइंग सम काइंड ऑफ रिलीजियस कार्ड और कल्चर कार्ड और दिस कार्ड और ओनिंग और गेट कीपिंग. But this whole counter narrative of cancel culture, whether it's towards Hasina, whether it's towards X or Y or Z or me, it's just wrong. That's not what tolerance is about. That's not what coexistence is about. That's not what any kind of underground movement should be about.
No, I absolutely agree with you on that. I think I'm very happy that this is happening. The conversation is happening. And like for you reaching out, I mean, you're the one who texted me.
Yeah.
You were like, hey, Mehrub, I want to have a conversation. Let's record it because I think shit has hit the fan. This is not good. I don't like
Mm,
it. This is not
mm,
where I'm coming from. This is not where I
mm,
want the movement to go. And
yeah,
that automatically shows quite a lot of progress. And I do think
mm,
in this, ये जो पूरा shit storm हुआ है, इसके अंदर कुछ बातें तो बहुत अच्छे तरीके से
mm,
uncover हो गई हैं और उसके
mm,
बाद हम अच्छे तरीके से आगे move forward ही कर सकते हैं. एक तो सबसे पहले ये अनकवर हुआ है कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर इस वक्त 3 तरह के हमारे पास सीन्स हैं. एक हमारे पास हाइपर एक्सप्रेसिव कैंप वेरी अंडरग्राउंड किस्म का एक सोनिक कल्चर, एक म्यूजिक सीन है जिसका ज़्यादातर लोगों को पता ही नहीं है. दैट इज मोस्टली बीइंग डन बाय जनान खाना इन लाहौर, जिसको जाने हसीना रिप्रेजेंट भी करी थी एट बॉयलर रूम. दूसरा हमारे पास इज द ग्रूवी हाउस म्यूजिक का कमर्शियल सा एक सीन है विच इज़ नॉट वेरी बिग बट स्टिल लाइक अ नाइस सीन. इस्लामाबाद के अंदर हमें ज़्यादा देखने को मिलता है और कराची के अंदर हमें थोड़ा बहुत देखने को मिलता है विद द क्लब फॉर इंस्टेंस. एंड दैट इज़ वन जो थोड़ा सा एक्सपेरिमेंटल भी है. इट्स नॉट जस्ट हाउस म्यूजिक बट दैट इज़ व्हाट इट इज़. एंड देन थर्ड वन इज़ द लार्जर फेस्टिवल ओरिएंटेड, the larger, the bigger, 2 to 3 days, harvest, faith, etc. that are being happening. And हमारा कुछ blind spot develop हो गया over the past 2-3 years where we forgot that these scenes exist. इस वाले को इसका नहीं पता और उनको लगता है कि जी ये हमारा दुश्मन है, और इस वाले को प्रॉब्ली इसका नहीं पता था, तो वो जब फाइनल को वो देखने का मौका मिला तो उनको लगा कि यार ये तो कोई बहुत ही ऑड सीन है, इससे तो हम लोग सारे के सारे कैंसिल हो जाएंगे, खत्म हो जाएंगे. फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर इज दैट ईच ऑफ अस इज इक्वली वल्नरेबल. Each of these scenes is vulnerable. They are vulnerable within because there are bad faith actors. There are men who are not here for the vibe or for the energy or for the safety. They're just here to harass women and girls. There are people here, men and women, who are just here for the drugs and for the masculinity aspect of it. Oh, look, I am the one who has access to these parties. So that makes me bigger of a man. Brilliant scenes organized in Islamabad, brilliant DJs that have flown in. All of us are having a great time. And what happens at the end? A shooting incident happens in the parking lot. And we all go back like, with what? With what? So एक ये bubbles develop होने का, echo chambers develop होने का सबसे बड़ा हमारे मेरे ख्याल से नुकसान ये हुआ है. So what we need to be doing is supporting each other, understanding that we're all in it together. यानी कि कवाली वाला कवाली गा रहा है, ऑर्केस्ट्रा वाला ऑर्केस्ट्रा गा रहा है, मगर हैं दोनों म्यूजिशियंस ही, और अगर दोनों अटैक हो रहे हैं, सब आए कह रहे हैं कि जी म्यूजिक हराम है, ये हमारा कल्चर नहीं है, तो इट इज इवेंचुअली हम कितनी देर तक हम किसी गोली की निशानी, किसी किसी बंदूक का निशान अपने से हटा के किसी दूसरे की तरफ पॉइंट आउट करेंगे. जब वो बंदा मर जाएगा तो वो गोली मुड़ के, वो बंदूक मुड़ के हमारी तरफ ही आएगी. And I think this is
I
the
see.
larger thing that we ought to realize and like move on, learning a positive lesson from this. And one thing, Bilal, just like not really feedback, but suggestion to give you, because you say that you're older, and like you've been around the scene for quite a while. I think it's high time that we start bringing marginalized people into the movement by holding DJ
Yeah.
workshops and DJ classes for them.
Yeah.
मैंने ये
Yeah.
चीज देखी है इधर यूरोप के अंदर बहुत ज्यादा हो रही है.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised the sort of talent that has come out from people with disabilities, from people who are migrants, from trans folks, that you would have probably never, you would have seen them dancing at a scene 15 years ago, but now to see them stand in the center of a stage, and not even a stage, by the way, hallway, right? Because that's what the underground is, no stages.
Yeah.
It's just like a deck and
Yeah.
music. and
mm,
command the floor for 3 straight hours on vinyl or on
mm,
DDJs, whatever. It's like just
mm, mm,
remarkable how
mm,
far we are going.
mm,
So when I look at the electronic music, and now this is us talking about the future that I want to see 10 years from now, 7 years from now, is like having these unexpected people playing, having this one
mm,
specific night, one specific 12 hour or 10 hour
mm,
rave at a warehouse, at a factory. मैं अपने मामू
mm,
की ले लूंगी उनकी
mm.
फ्लावर मिल पड़ी डीफंक किस्मों की उसके अंदर हम लोग बैक स्टेप करेंगे फिर उसकी acoustics हम लोग करेंगे and then like the lineup is unannounced so people are not coming for the celeb culture. There is a vibe check at the door and when you come in it's just vibes, it's just experience, and that's when you get to meet these new DJs. One is coming from, let's say, Dalbandin Balochistan, one is coming from
Mm,
Gilgit, one doesn't have legs and is just
mm.
there on a wheelchair spinning. One is a Khaja Sara who used to sell her
Man, I
body.
think this is a fantastic idea. And
Get
listen,
it?
I'm all in. I'm completely in. Whatever little capacity I can help in, I'm more than happy to do it. If my collective experience and 3 years of music school and this and that and whatever else can come in and chime in at any point, I'd be happy to do it. I have been, I'll be honest with you, I've been teaching for the past 15 years in different schools and even at like PNCA in Islamabad and stuff, whether it's writing music for film or whether it's teaching kids how to read and write sheet music or how to collaborate in harmony or whether it's electronic music workshops. So if you and I can make it happen somehow, I would be all in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is something that I've been in conversation with quite a lot of people. Well, once I come back, I'll probably see you in Karachi in a few weeks
Let-
because I'm back next week. I'll sit down and I'll share the homework that I've done on it with you. Do you know about Neutral? This venue at Karachi, it's
No,
right
no.
across, बिल्कुल डॉलमन के पास में ही है.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, I know the guys and the woman who started it. Basically, they've been holding
Mm, mm,
workshops over there as well,
mm.
um, for DJing essentially for young people, and they're sold out. They're like once they
Wow.
go live, they're sold out within 8 hours. So
That's incredible.
yeah, I understand because I see where you're coming from now because you're like
Mm,
really at like the top of the industry right now. That's where you
mm,
are.
mm,
And
mm.
I am more in touch with the grassroots, like because that's where
Yeah.
my help is
Yeah.
mostly going. Like
Mm,
bringing up the next generation, the next cadre of this, not
mm.
just the sonic
Oh,
culture, not just the supply,
yeah.
but also the demand, to see how it is going on. I'm possibly slightly younger than you, but it's just that I talk to Gen
Mm.
Z folks quite a lot. Like that's where it's coming from. So बहुत ज़्यादा demand है. Everybody wants to DJ now. Like everybody wants
Yeah.
to learn the art of it. And yes, of course, it
Mm,
comes with everybody wants the limelight and the fame,
mm,
not the hard
mm,
work that
mm,
goes into it. वो तो
mm,
एक natural selection का cycle है. People
mm.
will, so many people enter the scene and then they disappear.
Yeah, workshop or master class or daily classes or I'm down, dude. I like teaching. It actually makes me feel very good about myself when I can share some of this. Plus, ये सारी चीजें कबर में तो लेके जानी नहीं है. So I think this has been lovely, and we've agreed on a lot of things, and you've shared, some put the spotlight on some things which I didn't think of, and I'm glad that you did. And I hope that this can be some kind of catalyst for other people to also start up conversations, man. Don't feel uh you know don't sit on a thought too much and don't let it come out as hate. So rather than being a keyboard warrior, let's engage in conversation and discussion and trying to move past our own inhibitions and our own preconceived misjudgments.
No, I absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this as well, and taking out the time and asking me to have this conversation with you. At the end of the day, the dance floor belongs to everybody. Uh,
Yes,
People
yes.
with legs, people with XX or XY chromosomes or any other combination, people with
Yeah.
heels, people without heels, or just no, people
Mm.
without heels, not people with heels. That's one person, that's one population that I'm women with heels on the dance floor. But other than that, I think the dance floor belongs to everybody, and this is a nascent growing
Yes.
movement. And the commercial aspect of it and the underground aspect of it are both
Mm.
equally valid, and
Yes.
both need each other to survive. If
Yes.
it's just the commercial and not the underground, the cultural
Mm.
impetus will disappear and will
Yeah.
just become about money. And when things just become just
No.
about money, art goes to
No.
die. And
No.
if it's just the underground and not the commercial, then well, we are just playing to each other on under the
No.
bridge on
Yeah.
one moon night, when the scene
Mm.
goes nowhere. So I think both
No.
need each other to survive, and that's
Yes.
what we ought to take it to.
It needs each other. We're very volatile. We're very हम नाजुक हैं भाई. हमें एक दूसरे का ख्याल करना है और आगे लेके चलना है इस चीज को. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing this again, and I look forward to seeing you when you're back in Karachi.
Yeah, I look forward to your next scene.